Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Senator Bob Dole, one of America's greatest. I have so many different memories over the years it is hard to know where to start or where to finish. Though I first came to Capitol Hill when Senator Dole was still in the U.S. Senate, my first extended interaction with him was when his wife Elizabeth was running for the U.S. Senate to succeed my current boss at the time, U.S. Senator Jesse Helms, who was retiring. There was one day I remember so well. I had taken time off from my work to help with Elizabeth's campaign, and of course Bob Dole, no stranger to North Carolina, came to town several times to campaign for her. On this particular occasion, we had lined up a number of visits for Bob Dole that included a stop at a tobacco receiving station in Smithfield, and then on to several other stops in Goldsboro. As is the case with any campaign, there was little downtime, which is just how Bob Dole liked it. He had a real knack for retail campaigning. He was never at a loss for words, always had a quip, and always left everyone laughing. As I recall, it was about 11:30 a.m. that day, and we had just finished up the stop at the tobacco receiving station where we had met with a number of tobacco farmers. Now we were on our way to Goldsboro. I wasn't that hungry, but I could tell the campaign staffer driving Bob Dole was ready to find some lunch somewhere. Well, Bob Dole was hungry too, but had a little different idea about it. So once we leave the tobacco receiving station, he directs the young man to stop at a local convenience store. Bob Dole goes in, talks it up with the lady running the cash register, buys a Krispy Kreme donut, and comes back out. Sensing this was the only lunch stop Bob Dole wanted to make, the young staffer turned to him and said, "Senator, don't you want to stop and get a real lunch somewhere?" The senator replied, "Bob Dole doesn't eat lunch until after the election," as only Bob Dole could say it. And of course, he often talked in third person. I would see Bob Dole from time to time after that election, but I didn't get to really know him until I came to Washington as a new member of this House of Representatives. He would call from time to time to talk about my campaign, to see if I had an opponent, to talk about what was going on in the House and the Senate, or just to talk life and politics in general. I will always cherish those conversations. A great Kansan from humble roots, Senator Bob Dole answered the call to serve his country, fighting for liberty for 79 years. It wasn't long ago that I got to visit the site where he was so badly injured in Italy. As I looked around the landscape of that area, that spot where he was wounded, so far from home in a foreign land, here was this very young man, and so many others like him, facing evil head on. Several years previous to that trip, I had gotten the opportunity to travel abroad to take a look at implementation of our country's food aid programs. I will never forget being in a very remote area of Ethiopia, looking at thousands of children who were eating porridge during lunch at school, and only because of the McGovern-Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program. It was the only real meal those children received during the day. Through his final years, months, and even until his final days, Senator Dole remained so involved and passionate for the principles that made this country great, while caring for our most vulnerable. The number of veterans and their families he greeted at the World War II Memorial during his final years would be far too many to count. And that is just a tiny glimpse of what he did to support, lift up, and encourage others. There is no way to properly measure his impact, not just in America, but around the world. He was the embodiment of the American spirit and what it means to be a true patriot and statesman. His lifetime of commitment, dedication, and perseverance for this country was and is unmatched. His legacy of service and statesmanship will only grow greater through the prism of history. Madam Speaker, there are those special individuals you get to know in life who help you keep it all in perspective. I will always be so appreciative of Bob Dole, the man, and what a giant of a man he was. May God's peace and grace embrace his wife Elizabeth and daughter Robin, as well as the rest of his family in the hours, days, and months to come. I yield back.